Hello, everyone. My name is Tyler Wilhelm, and I have the pleasure today to host one of PC's wonderful alumni, Liz Wolverton. She graduated in '96 with a business administration bachelor with focus in accounting. How are you doing, Liz?
Doing great.
Great. Good to have you with us. Let's go ahead and get it started. So the first question is, can you tell us just a little bit about your academic background, what you did at PC, and kind of where you headed?
Yeah, so like you said, I graduated in '96. So I did finish in 4 years. I was there from '92 to '96. Loved Presbyterian, found it a home away from home pretty quickly. And I think now I'm having a hard time remembering. It was either my sophomore or junior year I first entered into the business building, but that's pretty much what I remember about PC was being a part of the business administration community and folks like Susie Smith and Sam Howell and Jody Lipford. Great memories of those folks. Now I came to school knowing, so I was a little bit of a nerd in high school, pretty bunch of big nerd. Most people in their senior annual talk about, really cool things they want to do. And I just said I wanted to be a CPA. So I pretty much knew going in exactly what I wanted to do and had my sights set on business and accounting to begin with, which was different. A lot of my roommates didn't know what they wanted to do when they went to school, but I always knew exactly where I wanted to be and loved every minute of it. So my academic career ended at PC. That's the highest academic aspiration that I had. I went on and got my CPA, and at the time, back in the day, in '96, you could take your CPA exam with your bachelor's degree. I think that's different now. I think you have to have a master's or additional hours. So I got my accreditation after school and after working with Ernst & Young. But fond memories of Presbyterian. Trained me well.
Great. So tell us a little bit about what you do, what your company does, kind of some of your duties and your responsibilities.
Yeah, so I work for Synovus, a bank. We are a $50 billion financial institution located across the Southeast. So we have a 5-state footprint. I'm proud to be in South Carolina, also in Georgia, Florida, Tennessee, and Alabama. We are a bank, a 130-year-old bank. We have grown through acquisition over time. So we provide most of the services you'd expect from a financial institution, basic banking services, both on the consumer and commercial side. We have different segments on the commercial side, all the way from small business to very large, corporate organizations. We provide financial investment services through our financial investment arm. And specifically, I am the Chief Strategy and Customer Experience Officer, which is a very ambiguous title, but it has a lot of different and really cool things under it. So I do corporate strategic planning for the organization. I'm responsible for what you would see and think of as the 3 and 5 year strategic plan. So I work with our executive team to put those together. But specifically on a day-to-day basis, I oversee all of our marketing efforts. I oversee our digital strategy. So all the online banking responsibilities fall under me. Customer experience is a platform. So I run all of our customer surveys and then help the teams with what action we need to take based on our customer feedback. And I run inclusion and diversity for the organization. So that falls up under me as well. So it's a buffet of responsibilities, but they actually weave together really well.
Sounds like you have a lot on your plate.
This is every day is something fun.
Yeah. Well, it's a perfect segue to the next question. So what's the best thing about what you do? What makes you excited to come into work every day?
Well, I laugh because, banking's never easy. Banks probably have one of the toughest jobs out there to me right now, both in the headwinds of the economy. Low for long interest rates are not a good thing on the radar screen for the economics of a bank. But Every day I wake up with amnesia and I'm excited to come to work and think about something new. I think for me in my job, banking is changing immensely. How we deliver banking, moving from the physical to the digital delivery model. There are so many new things to think about and to reimagine. And that's what I love. I love starting with a blank sheet. I'm not real comfortable in an environment that stays the same all the time. I really like doing new things, and there's nothing about my job and my areas that stays normal. So I really like the fact that in an industry that you think is pretty static and maybe a little bit stale, just from a banking services standpoint, I get to work in the areas that get to reimagine themselves every single day. So that's probably the most fun thing about my job. It keeps me on my toes. I don't sleep much. I probably sleep a couple hours a night, but other than that, I enjoy it.
That's great. I'm glad that you enjoy it. I like that you mentioned having a sort of dynamic work experience. I think a lot of, upcoming graduates, that's kind of what they're looking for. They don't want to get stuck in, some office job where you do the same thing day in, day out, and you don't really have a whole lot of, like you said, with a blank slate, you come in
right.
with an open mindset, just attack each day differently. So another thing I wanted to ask you about, so in the banking industry, how has it changed since you began? I know you mentioned a little bit with as far as electronic online banking, but you want to talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah, it's changed dramatically. So I didn't start my career in banking. I started actually with Ernst & Young right out of school. And I've loved every job, that I had for that point in time. I thought E&Y was a great training ground, exposed me to a lot of different industries, a lot of different, really, when you work in a big firm like that, it's just a lot of smart people around you all the time, which is never a bad thing because you're always learning something. So I was at Ernst & Young, and then I left and lived in Greenville, South Carolina for a while. And back in the day, the place that I worked was called the Bilo Center Arena. I think it's the Bond Secures Arena now. I was the director of finance there for 5 years in my mid-20s. That was really cool. But when I entered banking, it was the early 2000s. And it's changed a lot over the past 17 years. I actually celebrated my 17th anniversary at the company last week. It has gone from an area of high consolidation to low consolidation to high consolidation. I lived through the banking crisis, in the 2009 to 2011, where I like to say what we did on Friday afternoons was not think about cocktails, but we did Black Suburban Watch, which was waiting for potentially the FDIC to pull up and shut the next bank down, during the crisis. So that was how we got our kicks on Friday afternoon, and hoping that wasn't going to be us. And really the way that I talk about change is, as the head of strategy, I've written 3 very different strategic plans. In the late, around the time of the crisis, I wrote a plan that essentially was, how are we going to survive? It wasn't about what are the bright, rosy things. It was, how do we get past this hurdle? And then the next plan I wrote, probably between 2013 and 2018, was how do you rebuild in the new banking environment, kind of post-crisis. And probably the most exciting plan that we've put together was the one from 2019 that's running through today, which is how do you reimagine the bank? And as I talked about before, there are significant shifts in how people expect to do anything in life, especially banking. So it's, how do we deliver differently? There's a lot of competitors that we didn't face before. It used to be that banks just competed against banks. Now we compete against a lot of fintech companies. And what started as a highly competitive environment with fintechs has turned into, how do you opportunistically partner with them? And then as a bank, just as a single unit, Synovus has changed, because we were 30 individual brands that have merged into one, and now we're expanding our business to be much more on the commercial side. We have a much bigger wholesale and specialty unit than we have to. So, all of those things, over time have been immense change. And the biggest thing that I can say in any industry you're in and in any role you're in is your adaptability is probably your biggest asset. And that's something that served me really well, is the ability to be adaptable and not to get shaken by the fact that tomorrow's not going to be the same as yesterday, but how do you make tomorrow better than today?
Perfect. Adaptability, yeah, that's definitely something you're going to need in this day and age, especially with all that's going on with COVID and everything. Kind of be able to adapt on the fly. I think that's I completely agree with you. That's one of the big things coming out in the workforce now that you're going to need. Looking back at your time at PC, is there anything that you might have done differently to maybe better prepare yourself for, after you graduate?
I am a person that you get this asked all the time, whether it was about school or, would you have made a different decision? And I rarely look back and say I would have done anything differently. I guess I'm a hindsight, might be 2020, but where I am today is very much a product of the good and bad decisions that I made. I really don't think I would have done things much differently. What I can tell you is the things that I think were very beneficial to me at PC, and it was finding exactly what I love to do and committing myself to that. So I was a rare case that when I walked into school, I knew what I wanted to study, and I immersed myself in that. And like I said, I loved every minute of it, but I didn't just study. One of the things I worry about for my teenagers right now, they're very good students. My oldest teenager is probably too good of a student. And I need her to get out of her books, and I need her to get out and go to the fraternity court, or, get out and experience life outside of the classroom. And that's one of the things that, I did that was very important. When you get out into the working world, it's not just about what you do, which is important, but you can't be pins down all the time and heads down all the time. You got to be out experiencing and networking, and being part of SAM and some of the organizations on campus was really important to me. I worked in the administrative building. I helped out with new prospects. And so I would say making sure that you're experiencing all that PC has to offer, and making sure you're not just on sort of the clinical curriculum path was very important. And, being willing to step out and make some mistakes. And I won't go over those, but I did make some at PC. You were asking me earlier, some of the things that I did, I can't remember if it was Jody Lipford or Susie Smith that really encouraged me to participate in the first chess championship at Presbyterian before I even knew how to play chess. But I actually met some really interesting people doing that. And now when I go to the beach and they have those big chessboards set up, I know how to play chess too. So you just never know where life's going to take you.
Wow. Is that something you still do? I mean, do you still play with your friends?
Only for fun. I mean, when you start and then you're at the pinnacle. I mean, I was the female chess champion. Like I don't want to go down from there. I had to pull myself out of professional chess.
Absolutely.
And it's only occasional.
Intimidated to play with you. That's great. Well, I think that's all of the more serious questions I have for you. Another one I had was just, what do you do for fun? What's life like? And after you graduate, what's the working life? How do you stay interested in what's going on? What do you do for fun, like on the weekends? And how do you keep yourself busy?
Yeah, so I have two teenagers. So by the way, this is one of them at the door right now. If you can hear the doorbell ring, I'm about to have fun going to let them in after school. But no, I love live music. My husband and I travel a great deal. And I do a lot of sports with the kids, and I play tennis, and I try to get out. I do a lot of hiking and a lot of outdoor activities. So that's what I do for fun.
Awesome. Well, that's all I had for you today. I really appreciate you coming and talking with us. I think it's very valuable when we get to hear from PC alumni. I find it really interesting, and I really appreciate all the sort of the advice and the little peek inside of what you do. Anyway, thanks for coming by. Thanks for talking with me. I really appreciate it.
Thanks, Tyler. And tell everybody I said hello.
Will do.
Go PC. I won't sing the fight song, but I could.
Thank you.